State police say there is no ongoing threat to the public at this point. I think that's important to note because I've seen a lot of people coming out onto their porches trying to get a glimpse at what's going on. If you know anything about horse racing, you know Saratoga is the place to be during the summer months. What do you think it is about this community and, of course, this historic racetrack that make it so unique and special? The president is trying to project competence, says 3 more Democratic lawmakers publicly called out for him to drop out of the race. Good morning, Julie and Dan. Slow going, I think that'll be the theme for much of the morning today as the snow has been flying for several hours at this point. Yeah, there are, Casey and Marissa. It's been more than a decade since Don't Ask, Don't Tell was rescinded, but thousands of people were discharged for violating that law, leaving them with little to no access to health benefits. There's one word to describe today, and that is hot. A lot of people would probably describe it as being unpleasant. I tend to agree with them. Oh, hey there, Jody. Yeah, this plane went down in a wooded area here just behind me near the Albany International Airport, as you mentioned. Colony Police Chief Robert Wynn tells me about a football field and change away from the nearest home. I'll step out of the way here, and you can see actually that there's a van down here that appears to be having a hard time making it up the hill. With so many people expected out on our roadways, members of law enforcement are stepping up efforts to keep everyone safe. They're cracking down on those driving while drunk. In total, 10 cars, we're told, left the tracks, including 2 that made their way into the Hoosick River here, a river that runs through this small village. You know, this new partnership will likely help solidify the positions of 2 New York corporations on the map of national security and aerospace technology. Preliminary data from the state shows there has been about 66 fatal motorcycle crashes across the state so far this year. It includes one from just last month, about an hour north from here on I-87 in North Hudson, in which a 19-year-old lost his life. Now his family is encouraging all drivers and riders to be alert ahead of what is expected to be a busy fall season.
He understood the freedom of the open road, the wind in your hair, and the thrill of a well-timed rev.
A motorcycle was more than something that got Brock Pines from point A to point B. It was his way of life.
But beyond the jokes and the laughter, Brock had a serious side. He was passionate about motorcycles.
It's a passion that dates back to Brock's time growing up in Florida. Upon relocating to upstate New York last year to join his brother-in-law, Kelsey Bevins, at the Essex County Sheriff's Office, he bought a brand new bike.
His excitement was palpable, and the look on his face as he rode it off the lot was absolutely unforgettable.
The 19-year-old put on about 3,000 miles in just the first few weeks of owning the motorcycle. Sadly, the odometer would soon come to a screeching halt.
The road can sometimes be unforgiving. This August, while merging onto I-87 southbound, Brock lost control of his motorcycle, and he was struck by a vehicle traveling along the highway. And just like that, we lost him.
It's a painful story Brock's family want all drivers and riders to learn from. A message state leaders are latching onto ahead of the fall season.
We all share the road.
The governor's traffic safety committee is reminding drivers to yield to motorcycles, give riders space, look twice, and to never drive distracted or impaired.
There's no such thing as a fender bender for a motorcycle. It could be fatal to them.
Riders are reminded to know their bikes, wear high-quality, visible gear, to be weather-aware, and to ride defensively. So, as the fall tourism season picks up, Brock's family makes this request.
Today, as we remember Brock, I urge each of you to embrace motorcycle safety with the same passion that Brock embraced life. He would want us to laugh, to remember the good times, and to keep riding, but safely.
A touching tribute there from Brock Pines' family, again, just 19 years old.
It's not even August, but at some Ascot orchards in Kinderhook, apples are being picked by the dozen.
The frost never came, and the crop is huge.
Some farmers across the state are reaping the benefits of an early spring without a late frost.
You know, the apples only have one chance to bloom, and once the flowers freeze, there's no apples for the season. So it's definitely happening more often.
Giving fall lovers an early taste at some lesser-known varieties.
Early season apples like this don't store very well, so like we're picking Jersey Max today. We won't see them around for much more than a month. They'll get soft even in storage.
The early harvest not only welcomed by growers,
coming right up,
but others in the juice and hard cider space.
It means that we have to store less through the summer, It also means we get this really interesting quality juice this time of year, which is a blend of sweeter apples.
Alejandro Del Perel helped create Nine Pin, an Albany-based hard cider company, and is encouraged by an ever-evolving apple crop.
The apple industry is working hard to come up with new varieties which ripen earlier and earlier, and in the last 11 or 12 years that we've been in this business, this is by far the earliest that we've ever had fresh apples available.
A partnership that will feed off each other through the fall season and beyond.
In New York, we're a lot later than most of our southern counterparts, so New Jersey's always ahead of us, and so getting everything a little bit earlier gets it in the market, expands the possibilities.
For Spectrum News, I'm Spencer Conlin.
29 names this year have been added to the state's Fallen Firefighter Memorial here in Albany, a tribute to their service and ultimate sacrifice in communities across our state.
The families of 29 fallen firefighters receiving a New York State flag on their loved ones' behalf, and one final salute. Among them,
Jason Arno.
The Buffalo firefighter died from smoke inhalation and thermal injuries while responding to a fire earlier this year in the Queen City's Theater District.
He only had a short time on the department with us, but he made such an impact. Just a great young man, and just infectious. Everything you would want in a firefighter. So he was one of our best and brightest.
Buffalo Fire Commissioner William Ronaldo, one of hundreds of firefighters making the trip to the capital city for the somber occasion.
It's a brotherhood. Fire service is a brotherhood, and it just draws departments and folks that haven't seen each other. They talk and email maybe across the state, but get to see each other.
More than half of the other names added to the memorial this year are because of 9/11 related illnesses.
You thought they made it home safe. You thought they were the lucky ones on that day, and yes, you may have had a few more years. But as you saw the disease take over your loved one's body, but not their spirit, you hoped you'd never end up in this place on this day.
FDNY announcing just weeks ago the 343rd member to die from an illness related to their response on September 11th. That's as many members as the department lost on that day 22 years ago.
I think it's important that the Trade Center health programs continue to support those who participate in the rescue recovery efforts to provide the care they need for the illnesses that they contracted while serving at the Trade Center site.
We don't take for granted what they do. We never have, we never will.
Now, with the addition of these 29 names this year, there are now a total of 2,660 names on this memorial wall, forever cementing their service and, again, ultimate sacrifice in the minds of the many New Yorkers and visitors who pass this beautiful spot in Albany.
We all know that famous saying, rain, snow, or sleet. But carriers with the United States Postal Service face another obstacle on a daily basis.
I've never had any serious encounters with any dangerous dogs. There's been some close calls.
Our four-legged friends have earned quite the reputation with our mailmen and ladies over the years. Last year, more than 5,800 mail carriers across the country were bitten by a dog.
Especially in the summer or anytime there's breaks when the kids are home and different things. But yeah, the summers for sure.
Andrew Moki would know. He's been delivering mail in Schenectady for 15 years.
I've got almost 1,000 stops on the route.
Fortunately, we didn't run into any aggressive canines on this street, but a recent survey by Moki's employer shows there are plenty around. Nearly 300 dogs latched onto New York mail carriers in 2020, the fourth most in the country. Some New York cities, like Syracuse, landed in the top 25 with 14 bites.
You hear it all the time, right? The customer says, my dog doesn't bite, it's really friendly, and it's just, you put yourself in a situation by believing that, and it could really harm you.
Had we run into an aggressive pooch on this route, Moki says he'd be prepared.
A lot of times what we do is, if a dog is coming, you can feed them the mail as you back up, or throw the satchel out at them, and they grab that and bite the satchels in the mail instead of you. One of our last resorts would be to spray the dog.
In addition to those defensive tools and techniques, he says a responsible pet owner who is aware of their mail carrier's routine goes a long way.
Communicate with your customer, and maybe we move the box. Maybe we do different things to better our service and keep us safe. We all want to go home safe today.
Messaging like that was part of the Postal Service's mission in releasing stats on dogs biting their carriers. For Moki, he sticks to socializing with his human customers.
Jack, welcome back.
As much as he can. For Spectrum News, I'm Spencer Conlin.